Catherine de Bourgh of Rosings Park. May I introduce Mrs. Bennet? And my cousins, Miss Elizabeth Bennet and Miss Lydia Bennet.
Well, yeah, she's a fine filly, sir. Yes, she'll do. She'll do.
Well, I have been meditating on the very great pleasure that a pair of fine eyes in the face of a beautiful woman can bestow.
Lizzie? Lizzie, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Lizzie, wake up for me.
Hello?
Al?
Whoa! What did you do to her?
Nothing.
You sure?
She got stressed out and fainted. At least I thought it was a faint, but...
Well, she's dreaming. Look at the REM.
But I can't wake her.
Maybe she doesn't want to be woken.
Actually, that would make sense.
How so?
Well, 2 years ago she was mugged. It was nasty. Since then she's suffered selective mutism, social anxiety. She likes to hide from the world.
I know the feeling. How are her obs?
Heart rate's a bit high, but not dangerous. BP's normal.
Any medication?
Well, she's supposed to be, but I don't think she's taking it.
Withdrawal?
Perhaps. What do you think?
I have absolutely no idea. So call an ambulance, ship her off to St Phil's and let them deal with her.
Thanks, Al. Very helpful.
Oh, it's clearly a psych consultant. I wouldn't get involved.
It is my patient.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
Goodbye, Al.
What about Snow White?
Go and book someone else. Where are you, Lizzie?
My nerves are shredded after such a storm.
Did you sleep at all?
Not to speak of, but it is of no matter. I would have a word with you.
Oh, I thought I'd go for a walk before breakfast.
Why, pray?
To get some air. To see if...
If what?
I thought I heard Mr. Darcy say last night that he likes to take an early walk.
Him? He's such a proud man and not worth wasting your time on, Lizzie. No, I would have you in the drawing room, if you please.
Whatever for?
Come along.
Mrs. Bennet. My dear cousin Elizabeth.
Yes, here she is. Lizzie, Mr. Collins has requested a private audience.
Has he?
Well, then I will leave you two together.
Mamma, I beg you. Mr. Collins must excuse me. I'm going for a walk.
That can wait. You will stay and listen to Mr. Collins, if you please.
My dear cousin Elizabeth. You can hardly doubt the purpose of my discourse. Almost as soon as I entered this house, I singled you out as the companion of my future life. But before I am run away with my feelings on this subject, perhaps it will be advisable for me to state my reasons for marrying, and moreover for coming into Hertfordshire with the design of selecting a wife, as I certainly did.
Oh, God.
My reasons for marrying are, first, that I think it a right thing for every clergyman in easy circumstances like myself to set the example of matrimony in his parish. Secondly, that I am convinced it will add very greatly to my happiness. And thirdly, which perhaps I ought to have mentioned earlier, that it is the particular advice and recommendation of the very noble lady whom I have the honor of calling patroness. Twice has she condescended to give me her opinion on this subject. Mr. Collins, you must marry. Choose properly, choose a gentlewoman for my sake and for your own. Let her be an active, useful sort of person. And, well, I have chosen.
Please accept my thanks for the compliment you are paying me. I am sensible of the honour of your proposals, but it is impossible for me to do otherwise than decline them.
When I do myself the honour of speaking to you next on this subject, I shall hope to gain a more favourable answer than you have now given me, though I am far from accusing you of cruelty at present, because I know it so to be the established custom of your sex to reject a man on the first application. And perhaps even now you have said as much to encourage my suit as would be consistent with the true delicacy of the female character.
Mr. Collins, let me speak plain. You could not make me happy. And I am convinced that I am the last woman in the world who would make you so. So, if you will excuse me.
Reasons for disbelieving your refusal are these. It does not appear to me that my hand is unworthy your acceptance, or that the establishment that I can offer would be any other than highly desirable. My situation in life, my connections with the family of de Burgh are highly in my favour, and you should take it into further consideration that in spite of your manifold attractions, it is by no means certain that another offer of marriage may ever be made you. Your portion is, unhappily, so small that it will, in all likelihood, undo the effects of your loveliness and amiable qualifications. As I must therefore conclude that you are not serious in your rejection of me, I shall choose to attribute it to your wish of increasing my love by suspense, according to the usual practice of elegant females.
Sir, I thank you again for the honour you have done me in your proposals, but to accept them is absolutely impossible. My feelings in every respect forbid it. Can I speak plainer?
I am persuaded that when sanctioned by the express authority of both your excellent parents, my proposals will not fail to be acceptable.
Mr. Collins, you forget yourself. I would like to leave now.
Nothing remains for me but to assure you in the most animated language of the violence of my affection.
That I can never return, sir. I suggest you forget your affection to me and send it elsewhere. I recommend you seek out Miss Lucas. She will be much more to your liking.
Is it done? Am I to congratulate you? Oh, we must send word to your father. Oh, I'm quite overcome.
No, I have refused him.
You what?
I'm quite determined, Mother.
How could you?
I'm sorry, but 'tis done.
It most certainly is not. Mr. Collins, don't go. You may depend upon it. Lizzie will be brought to reason. I will speak to her directly.
That is not necessary, Mrs. Bennet.
Oh, most certainly is. You must forgive my daughter. She is a headstrong and foolish girl who does not know her own interest. I will make her know it.
If she is as you have described, then I wonder whether she would be a very desirable wife to a man in my situation, who naturally looks for happiness in marriage.
If you will excuse me.
You will not make one move, miss. Stay where you are. Mr. Collins.
My dear madam, let us be forever silent on this point. Far be it for me to resent the behavior of your daughter. Resignation to inevitable evils is the duty of us all. I have certainly meant well through the whole affair, and if my manner has been at all reprehensible, then I here beg leave to apologize.
How could you?
I'm sorry, Mamma.
Give me no apology, you stupid girl, look at you. As unconcerned as maybe caring nothing for your family, provided you get your own way.
That's not true.
I tell you what, Miss Lizzie, if you take it into your head to refuse every offer of marriage in this way, you will never get a husband at all. And I do not know who will maintain you when your father is dead. I shall not be able to help you. And I shall not want to.
That is a harsh thing to say.
You deserve no better. Your willful behavior will be the death of us all. And I warn you, I have done with you from this very day.
Mama.
No. I take no pleasure in talking to undutiful children. Look at Miss Bates. Is that what you want for your future? Unmarried and poor, and the source of ridicule in society. Why, you yourself scorned her but yesterday for her insensible nature. But a few more years, my dear, and you could be in her place.
That is not my intention.
Intention or no, it will be so, and you only have yourself to blame.
There are other gentlemen.
Who? That silly boyfriend Churchill? You do not mean Darcy?
What made her fall asleep?
I told you, she got stressed out.
Because?
I mentioned what happened.
The mugging.
Clearly she couldn't bear to hear it or think about it. It was as if she was listening to someone else, and then she smiled and lost consciousness.
She smiled?
Definitely.
You said she likes to hide from the world.
Escape, really.
Where to?
Well, she's a bit of a Jane Austen fan.
Really? Is that what you think she is? Skipping round a meadow with Lord Fartsey.
Maybe.
Sipping tea with Miss Pert. Crazy town.
Well, Al, what's your favourite TV show of all time?
Battlestar Galactica.
I rest my case.
Yeah, no, that's hard sci-fi.
It's spaceships and aliens.
Is that not aliens, actually?
As a Cylons.
Oh, you watch BSG?
Kevin puts it on when he's drunk.
Yeah, ogling Starbuck and Six, no doubt.
My point is, we all have ways to escape.
Yeah, but not to the point where you pass out. Not unless something is very, very wrong. Seriously, Jazz. Ambulance.
Yeah, and tell them what? Oh, my patient fell asleep.
Yes, right in the middle of a consultation, which is inappropriate and really rather rude.
What about if I throw water on her?
How long's it been?
9 minutes?
Give it 10.
Beautiful.
Morning, Miss Bennett. I trust you weathered the storm last night.
Yes. Thank you. It's as if it never happened. Mr. Darcy, about my foolishness yesterday with poor Miss Bates.
I think enough has been said on both sides, don't you?
I would not want you to think bad of me.
And what about Miss Bates?
Her too, of course. I am sorry, and I shall tell her so.
We're all capable of folly, Miss Bennett.
Even you.
I was perhaps too harsh.
I deserved it.
I have been a selfish being all my life. As a child, I was taught what was right, but not to correct my temper. I was given good principles, but left to follow them in pride and conceit.
And now you are being too harsh on yourself. I think your virtues far outweigh your flaws.
You're right. It is beautiful.
Lydia?
You!
What's happened? He wanted money. I gave him a shilling, but he wouldn't leave me. Lydia, I'm so frightened. Are you hurt? I have a cramp, and I hit my head. Though he didn't touch me. A few moments more. Mr. Darcy! Stop! Please!
Are you hurt, Miss Bennett? Could you?
Lizzie, what has happened? Why is Mr. Darcy carrying
She
Lydia?
was attacked, it seems, by a tramper in the park.
Attacked?
Well, perhaps accosted is a better word, for he did not touch her, but she fell.
Oh, my poor Lydia.
This is so shocking. And to think we were taking such a nice walk and on such a fine morning. I was only saying to Mr. Woodhouse how lovely the gardens looked after such a storm. And then we heard of the arrival of Captain Wentworth.
Captain Wentworth?
Why, yes, a commander of consequence in the action of St. Domingo, you know. He has just found a home nearby at Monkford.
Miss Bates, please. Can you not see what a dreadful state I am in? Quite frighted out of my wits. Such trembling, such flutterings all over me, such spasms in my side, pains in my head and beatings in my heart.
Mama! Lydia!
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, my poor Lydia, my poor girl. No, Lizzie, we need a doctor at once.
I will send for my apothecary, Mr. Perry. He will see to your dear sister. I say hello there.
Oh, Mr. Perry is very good. A great comfort to Mr. Woodhouse.
Yes, I know.
Would you be so kind as to fetch Mr. Perry at once? Miss Lydia has been attacked in the park, and we are all in an uproar. You will have to wait for him, Miss Bennet, as I'm quite beside myself.
Oh, poor Mr. Woodhouse. Shall we sit by the fire in the drawing room?
If it's not too much trouble. I fear that cake last night was far too rich for my constitution.
Miss Elizabeth Bennet, I would have a word.
Lady Catherine, now is not the time.
You please. You ought to know that I am not to be trifled with. However insincere you may choose to be, you shall not find me so. A report of a most alarming nature has reached me.
Yes, my sister Lydia has been...
I was told that you, Miss Elizabeth Bennet, will in all likelihood be soon united to my nephew, Mr. Darcy, though I know it must be a scandalous falsehood.
Really? We're doing this now?
Miss Bennet, I insist on being satisfied. Has my nephew made you an offer of marriage?
Your ladyship has declared it to be a falsehood.
It ought to be so. It must be so while he retains a use of his reason. But your arts and allurements may have made him forget what he owes to himself and to all his family. You may have lured him in.
If I have, I shall be the last person to confess it.
Miss Bennet, do you know who I am? I have not been accustomed to such language as this. I am almost the nearest relation he has in the world, and am entitled to know all his dearest concerns.
But you are not entitled to know mine. Nor will behaviour such as this ever induce me to be explicit.
Let me be rightly understood. This match, to which you have the presumption to aspire, can never take place. Never. Mr. Darcy is engaged to Miss Bingley.
If he is so, you can have no reason. Miss Bingley?
Oh, they have already formed an attachment, I understand. And nothing will endanger it, certainly not a woman of inferior birth and of no importance in the world.
Miss Bingley! But that can't be right.
Oh, I assure you that it is so.
I can't do this. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, not so hasty, if you please. I have by no means done. Obstinate, headstrong girl, I am ashamed of you.
Miss Bennet.
You can't do this. It's unseemly.
I hardly think with relations such as yours, you can lecture us on decorum.
The apothecary has arrived and is with your sister now. She seems well.
So you found the time to ravish Miss Bingley?
This is jealousy, plain and simple. You foolish girl. Did you really think that Darcy would be interested in you?
It's Mr. Darcy. And he's mine. You can't. It's not supposed to go like this.
You are unwell.
And you are a liar.
Lizzie? Lizzie?
You can't do this, Doctor! Stop interfering! This is my world! These are my rules! Oh, General, what's happening?
Calm yourself.
But this isn't how it should be. The people are all wrong, and there's such violence, such lewdness.
Of your own creation.
No.
You are the author of this story, Miss Bennet. Who can you blame but yourself?
Me? But I would...
I warned you. You should not be here.
Let me go! Let me go! Let me go!
Lizzie, it's Dr. Keller. You've been unconscious for some time. Are you okay? You're still not talking to me. I was, worried. I couldn't wake you. It's snooping, I know, but I just wanted something so I could understand what you're going through. So I had a look at this. You're obviously Janeite. But there's something here that isn't Austen. Do you mind if I read it? Every day there's something, it seems. It frightens me so. The sexual profligacy, the violence that seems to permeate everything. The unending tedium of modern life. This is how you feel? Why?
I was not made for this world.
Life can be sexual and violent and boring. Of course it can, but there's beauty and friendship, love.
Jane Austen has all of those things.
Yes, but they're just stories, Lizzie. You can't lose yourself in them so completely that you miss out on real life. They may seem perfect to you.
Not always.
No? What were you dreaming about just now? You certainly didn't seem happy. It wasn't perfect, was it?
It should have been.
What went wrong?
I don't know.
This is what you should be talking to your psychologist about, and that's why you need to go back and see him, don't you think? I know that you find talking on the phone impossible, but I have his email here, so you can make your appointment that way, okay? Promise me you'll go back and see him. And I have your prescription here. And you know you can come back and see me anytime.
Thank you.
Good luck.
You just try not to panic. Just take a big, deep breath with me. It's going to be okay. It's Mrs. Franklin. Rock open.
Hi, Mrs. Franklin. Dr. Granger here.
Hello, can I help?
He was Captain Frederick Wentworth, a remarkably fine young man with a great deal of intelligence, spirit, and brilliancy. And Anne, an extremely pretty girl, with gentleness, modesty, taste, and feeling. Half the sum of attraction on either side might have been enough, for he had nothing to do and she had hardly anybody to love. But the encounter of such lavish recommendations could not fail. They were gradually acquainted, and when acquainted, rapidly and deeply in love. It would be difficult to say which had seen the highest perfection in the other, or which had been the happiest. She, in receiving his declarations and proposals, or he, in having them accepted.
Right, just the repeat prescription for the inhaler then, for those odd occasions when you're not completely in control of everything.
I beg your pardon?
You are joking, right?
You and Charlotte, you're marrying.
Oh! I'm so sorry.
What are you doing here?
Road trip.
Hurts, doesn't it? See, if you cared about me, you wouldn't want to hurt me. You wouldn't want to make this more difficult, would you?
What starts as a perfect day out for Jack